Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Grand Danger, and today, um, today is the day that I think it might be a perfect time to tell a story about how I lived my life throughout the throughout the last 20 years. Um, so this is gonna be a true story based on true story and tell storytelling, and it's just very emotional, very highs and lows, and it's gonna be really challenging. So if you guys enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So stopwatch so I could finish up and go. So I was born in 2006 on July 8th. That was the day on my birthday. Unfortunately, before I was born, my grandfather passed away just about 5 days after I was born. That he passed away. I didn't know this until maybe I was like 12, 13, 14 years old, that he passed away, or a little younger, that I heard that he passed away. So I didn't know my grandfather, and I didn't know who it was. But after I was raised, I became the most hungry baby ever on the ever. Like, you'll see, like, every nurses that had like a little feed tubes and stuff, like feed bottles. I get hungry like every single time, and I'm a hungry boy. At that time, I was so big and so huge that my parents will call me the next Incredible Hulk. Like, I was like that big around. So and but something didn't feel right, and something was wrong, and I I immediately stopped breathing for a minute or two, and I was really coughing and gasping for air. So what they expect is I have, they couldn't tell. So it was a serious breathing issue that I wasn't able to receive oxygen. So instead of letting me die, which I did almost die by turning blue, they transferred me from local hospital to another hospital, which is about 25 miles, maybe 2 miles from here, I think, from that hospital. And the doctors from there, they told my mom and dad, they told my parents that I was diagnosed with asthma, which is a long life. Uh, it's a long, rare sort of disease, but it's not really disease. It's a long life issue with my breathing, and asthmas are the most number one problem ever. So in order to reduce that issue, they had me a little oxygen tank and stuff, but then prescribed me with inhaler, so it will keep me breathe, so I don't suffocate, so I could go out my day without any problems, like any physical activity, like running, playing basketball, sports, or any kind of sports, or any activities, physical activities I do, especially running. And if I get up with shortness of breath, I always take my inhaler and just use it as a medication, because I still take it every day. Um, So after the problem was solved, but there was also something wrong with me too. I was also not only with asthma, but I was also diagnosed with hernia. So as if I was about ready to go home, they saw something like right here on the side of my right on the side of my gut or my stomach, or I should say, on the upper like. So my testicles were like it's supposed to hang down, but it was hanging up, like it don't make any sense. So instead of like chopping it off or some amputated or something like that, um, they proceed a little surgery, a procedure on me, and they diagnosed me I thought hernia. So yeah, but thankfully, um, it was I was doing okay for the next couple of days at the hospital, and then they finally released me from the hospital so I can spend more time with my mom and my dad. And yeah, I was really healthy. I was ready to take on the world. Next couple years, 2 years, age 2 years old, I started to feel something like so age of just 2.5 years old. I started to one day I started to take off running off my own. Like I run away from my mom and my dad. Like I did that one time. It was a one time thing. I run away from them, and it was the closest I can get. And then my mama caught me, and she gave me a punishment as a child. She told me, "Don't ever run off again." And yeah. So next couple years, I started going to preschools and going to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and all that. And during my school year, I think in North Shelby, I think North Shelby is it's a disability for kids that have disability of learning and stuff like that. So, and it helped me so much throughout my life. It helped me so much to like have fun activities like organizing, coloring, and all kinds of stuff. It was so fun. It helped me a lot. It makes me feel easier to learn. And nowadays it's just useless. But back in the day, it was still so useful. So, but one day I have two occasion bad days. One is when I end up with the problem with the teacher. Then I was like being bad, and I went in my timeout for no reason. And another one is when we had a guest in the classroom talking about gun safety and stuff like that, and how to secure guns and stuff like that. Usually at a young age, we're not supposed to know about it, but it's very important as a young age. You have to stay away from the weapon and stuff like that. Let the adults handle it. So, but then as the guest left, and we had to do all that work for her. I started to feel something in me, and they told me to do my work, and I said I refused to do it. So instead of doing it, they put me in timeout, and I just really had a bad day. I really had a bad day. It wasn't a good day. I swear to God. But yeah. So in 2014, in early 2014, still a new year, this game was just released about 4 months after the release date, and this game was called Grand Theft Auto 5. I heard about it. I seen it in a trailer one time, but I never actually played it while it was released. So I waited for 4 months to get it. So if this was on my sister's 20th birthday, because she turned 20 on that date. She got a gift, her birthday gift, and it was a Grand Theft Auto 5 video game that she could play on Xbox 360. But I told my mom that it's not fair for her. It's not fair for me to not get it while she has it. And I remember telling her that I wanted to have that. I want to have Grand Theft Auto 5, and she said, because I have school the next day. She said she'll stop at the town get me a game because I have Xbox 360 at home, and I had so many games, but I never played Grand Theft Auto 5. First time in my life I never played it. And I remember begging, started whining, and then she made me a deal. If you be good at school, I promise I'll give you that game. As long as I don't receive any phone calls from school. I said, okay, deal. Next day, wake up, I got on the bus. I normally would because my mama would take my dad off to work, and I would usually ride with them. But instead, since I had a school bus coming in, I went to my Meemaw's house instead in Urban Mearns. I remember have a donut stick, little donut sticks, and just watch a Family Guy while eating it and stuff like that. It was just the best time ever. Then I remember my sister overheard the conversation yesterday, and she said, I know you're gonna get that game. And I said, well, I wish I could have it sooner. And she said, yeah, I know. So she put me on the bus, and my bus driver said, how's your day? How's your morning? I said, it's good. And went in there. I fell asleep during the routes, and right after when we got the bus, we go in there, and we go to the cafeteria. The cafeteria is like the size of my room, just about, or about to like right over there and about right there. That's just the size of it. But it's more like the size of high school. But the size is just like completely small. It's a small cafeteria, ain't nothing special. So afterwards, we grab our bag, we grab our breakfast, and then we head to classrooms. Normally we eat breakfast in the cafeterias. So, but back in the day, we go to classrooms and stuff like that. And before we even eat our breakfast, we start do like a little. Every morning routine that the teachers set out like a card drawing, coloring about we do like work and stuff in the morning. So when we arrive, we start coloring and stuff, drawing or coloring the paper and stuff. And then after that, when we got done, we put it in our folders, and then we start eating our breakfast. And it was good. I mean, it was a great time. And then we started learning. During the day, we go to, learning. And then when we got done learning stuff about 10 or 11 o'clock, we go outside. Like we do outside classroom activities like go outside or PE or musical. We do that a lot. Outside was like the most time that we had. It was pretty fun, and I enjoy it a lot. Like going outside, playing with my friends, and just do it everything. And we couldn't during the playground. We usually use the front playground, but the teachers told us that we weren't allowed to go to the front playground, and I asked them why, because there was something wrong with it. So we go back to the playground of the very back of the playground. So we play there where swing sets is, So, I think they're afraid of losing one of us, like disappearing and stuff like that. So I kind of understood what they meant, and yeah, I just had a time of my life. And after that, we got into the classroom, and we go back to learning, and then we go in learning for about a couple minutes, and then and then we do paperwork and stuff like that on our table and stuff, do little activities, and then by the time it's computer time, we start get on computers and stuff, and we just have fun, learn stuff, and play like mini games and stuff like that. But after that, we get off, and then we get when we head to lunch, and we get lunch, and we sit down in the cafeteria, eat, and then after that, we come back to the classroom, and then we watch a animated cartoon, PBS Kids videos of, I don't know. I don't remember, but there's so many of them. Most likely it was Curious George, or Magical School Bus, or Maya and Miguel, or something like that. But we watched so many of them, and it was pretty okay. So, and after that, most people fell asleep because the lights were off. But I stayed awake, and then when they turned the light on, it was so bright in there. But then after that, we started going back to learning, and then we learned a few more hours just before school ends. So after that, we done a lot of things, and then by the time we ready to go home, we get our stuff, and then we most likely head to the cafeteria to wait for the buses to roll. And when they call us in the roll, then that's when we get up, and then we head on to the bus. Once we got on the bus, everybody was on. We head home. I fell asleep again because it was a long ass route, and yeah. So I got home. My mom was sitting on the couch, and I got home, and I was like, "Hey, Mama," and she's like, "Hey, how's your day going?" I said, "My day was good. How about yours?" And she said, "I got you that game that you wanted." I said, "Really?" So she handed me it. She went to her bedroom and she got me it, and I said, "Mama, you're the best." That was the very first time that my mama gave me a gift, a gaming gift, as for a son to a mother. I think it was the nicest thing that she ever did. I wish I could do the same. Thankfully, I did last year at Mother's Day. So, and then a few years went by. I started from North Shelby to elementary school, because they told me that I'm growing out so much out of that school. So instead of keeping me, they decided to put me into a different school, and I was okay with it. So after because I'm not as I do have disability, but it's not like I don't have a severe disability problems. It's just I have poor eye contact, Down syndrome, and ADHD, some stuff like that. But they transferred me to another school, and I went on to that school. Normally, I go to that school first in the mornings, and then when it's time for me to go back to school, I go back to North Shelby in the afternoons, stuff like that. I think it's just about an hour of being in that new school, and then just take off the rest of the day to the other school. And then after I got finished with North Shelby on my last day, I went from there, and I fully transferred to elementary school when I learned basic stuff and complex complicity and stuff like that. And from now on, a couple years later, and I talk to my teachers about all kinds of stuff like my life, my hobbies, and just about, I tell them a lot of stories and stuff like that. And then from there all the way to middle school. Middle school is what it got me a little bit of issue, because there was a lot of fights in that school, a lot, and those fights were never that good. I seen a lot of them. I think the first fight I saw was probably in 8th grade in the gym, and that was when teacher started crying because of the fight. She was like, "Stop!" But I think I've aged 9 or 10 years old. I think I aged 10 or 11. I think I was 10 or 11. I think I was 11. I think I was 10. I don't know. But between 10 and 11, on my birthday party, we had a pool party outside in the back, celebrating my birthday, right? There's this kid whose father passed away a couple years ago. That my mom and dad knew him, and they invited his son, one of his youngest sons, to be at my pool party. Well, I don't know this kid, so a few hours went by, and then all of a sudden he started verbally attacking me for something I didn't say in the first place. And then I was like, "Dude, you need to shut your mouth," And he was like, how about I beat you up and all that? And I was like, you talk too much. So instead of talking, I was so furious. I got so angry, but no doubt I just started fighting. I was like, I was punching him and kicking him, drowning him in the water and stuff like that, which I didn't really drown him. I just like dunk his face in underneath the water. And next thing you know, he cheap shot. He gave me a dirty blow, a low blow, like kick between my legs, and then I kicked him the same way he did to me. And we both started crying because we never felt that pain before. First time I ever felt that pain. It was really, really, really hard. And I told my mama, and then his mama told my mama, and my mama told his mama. And then just a few hours later, I owe him apology to him, and then he apologized to me because he kind of felt like he was the one. He said it's all good, so we gave a handshake, and then we lived our lives head on. But that kid was the same kid as I had to deal with in high school. So at age of 16, I can't say his name. I keep his name out of my mouth for personal reasons. I have personal beef with this kid, and oh my god, he runs his mouth. He never shuts up. He talks a lot of stupid shit all the time, and I was about had it with him. And first time in my life that I've managed to, shut him up for good. And, yeah. I didn't get suspended. I wish I did, but I never got in the fight with him. We just exchanged our words back and forth, and he was talking crap about me and my mama and my family, how he's going to do this and do that, and I told him because my parents were both born up in north because they're Yankees. I told him, and I want to say this. I told him to shut the fuck. And then he was like, "Who you think you're talking to?" I'm like, "Dude, you can shut your mouth." So, and then my teacher was asking what's going on, and I told her that he's talking trash about me and my family and stuff like that. And yeah. And that lasted until it lasted throughout probably April of 2023. And yeah. And but I still have beef with him in my senior year. I never talked to him. I never will because he's the most ungrateful prick, ungrateful son of a bitch ever. Excuse my language. But he's just a little ungrateful little bastard. So, yeah. Once again, excuse my language. This is a based on true story telling about my life and stuff like that. From ages 1 through 20 years of my life has just been the most anomalous. It's basically, I remember I remember I celebrated a decade of my life, which was 10 years ago, and it was like, it was the very, very first milestone. Actually, it was the third milestone, and then 15 was the fourth, so this year will be my fifth milestone, 20 years ever. 2 decades. It's just been, it's been a great honor being in this very, very world, even though world sucks, but I managed to survive all obstacles at once. So after high school, I graduated from high school, with diploma, and my family were very happy. But this was the final year that my mama saw me graduate. She was the last person that saw me graduate before she, passed away last year in August. She said she was very proud of me. She cried in tears when we got home. The first thing she said, "I'm so proud of you." And then she started crying tears, and I imagine she said, "You grown so much, And I said, "Yeah." Those moments, it felt like I have achieved something, make my family proud. It was a very emotional day. And the day after, I was very emotional already. My head was in the right place, and I was emotional throughout the month of the month after I graduate. And when I turned 18, I was very emotional, and I was completely. So, you know, after I turned 18 and everything, I was supposed to have my ID on that day, and the place that I went to was basically pretty bad at their jobs. The DMV in Shelby, it was a very very bad place for me to have my ID because this one of their receptionists in the front desk, I asked her, "I'm here to get my ID made. I got my stuff," and she was like, "Oh, you guys scan a QR code outside." So we go outside, and there was a QR code sign. It says scan. So I pull out my phone and scan. I don't got a scanner on my phone, and I don't know how to scan QR codes. So my dad, he helped me out, but then it just completely went to shit. So we left, and we hopefully we do it next year. Fun fact, I didn't really have my ID all year of last year. So, but I promise I'll get my ID made. I promise. But yeah. I think the last thing that I remember, last year, if I remember last year, it was just completely, it was one of the most greatest to ever do it. But at the age of 14, back in 2020, or actually 2019, when I turned 13, that's when I started YouTube, and I was in 8th grade at that time, and then I changed my name to Grand Danger, in July 20th, no, in July 15th, 2020. I started making videos on the 20th of that night, and then I started making videos all the way during the half year during the pandemic, and then by 2021, that's when I started making full time year, and then last year was the greatest year ever, which by the way, thank you guys for that. We hit over almost for about a little over just 300,000 plus viewers, and all that was incredible. So if we could surpass that goal, that would be great. But it was the greatest time ever. From 14 to almost 20 years old, it's been the most incredible journey ever. But I love my mama every day, and I mention this about a few times throughout my channel and stuff like that, my live streams and everything. I mentioned in that video I think I posted a video the day after my mom died. That's when I started, because I went sober, and I'm still sober, but I began to, I don't want to say it, but that's just when I had to tell you guys that, personally, it's just a personal matter of, time. I knew that when my mom didn't have much time in her and stuff like that, I knew that I was about ready to lose her. And that happened. And a lot of people ask me after the video, they ask me, what is that hashtag I hate cancer? Well, that's because I do hate cancer, and cancer, I want to say this as a very personal statement for everybody that has cancer. If you guys have cancer, I hate fucking cancers. 100%, I really hate cancers. And I know, and you guys are like, cancer sucks, Yes. it's just very, very, very difficult to talk about it and speak about it because the last time I talked about cancer is just completely out of control. Like somebody telling me that, did your mom die from cancer or stuff like that, and I told them, say yeah, but I told them that the word I hate the word cancer. Cancer with the Caner is just, it's just, I don't want to get into it. I don't. I've been in this deep black hole before, and I do not want to go back. Okay, so change subjects. Let's continue on my life. So first time in almost 20 years, uh, you know, didn't celebrate how well. I went trick or treating, and I've done Thanksgiving, and I didn't, and stuff like that. But this is the very first time in my life, 20 years, that I've actually, in 6 years, first time in 6 years on YouTube that I'm actually talking all my personal lives and my personal beings and stuff. I've also forgot that during my childhood, I do have a lot of anger issues. Something, and I also have PTSD, or is post-trauma severe disorder, or something like that, PTSD. During hospitals, like while my mom was on intensive unit, that was the last time that I saw her. And the hospital, the room and stuff, the area was giving me full nightmares because that's where my Meemaw, that was my Meemaw where she was at. In the opposite way, in the opposite room, just next to her left is where my mama died, and on the right is where my mama died. It's just completely devastated and sadistic. It's just sadistic and it's just very, very fucked up, if I can say it. But yeah. So I think that's about everything that I need to talk about. That's basically 20 years of my life. I cannot wait to be 21 so I can drink my very first beer, whiskey. I'm just kidding. But I'm glad I told you guys a based on true story about my personal life and my personal well-beings and stuff like that. But I think I also forgot to say that I was on diabetic one time, and that didn't go well for me. So I went to my doctors, and they were worried about my health because I eat a lot of junk food, and they told me cut up junk food, stuff like that. Instead of doing that, I just ate junk food more and more and more. But it's not like I gained any weight. As of right now, as of just a few hours ago, I had me some chicken. So, but yeah. So that's basically everything that you guys need to know for 20 years. This video will be posted. I don't know when it's going to be out. I do not know. I will have to keep this. But if there's anything else that I would remain telling you guys, if I miss anything during my 20 years, I will let you guys know with another video or something like that. But it's just 20 years of my life that I had. 20 years. Crazy experiences like tornadoes, snows, I think I almost forgot that when I saw my very first tornado, I seen a tornado with my own eyes because I was getting on a school bus in high school because I was about ready to go home after my senior presentation from a county office. Uh, I saw a tornado tour around the background. And I'm like, oh crap! So everybody saw it, and we got off the bus. I left my things on the bus, didn't bring it with me, and I was completely devastated if the buses were torn away. But as soon as it passed, everything was still fine. How lucky I am, you know. I was worried about my parents, and thankfully this house is still managed. They still managed to survive. I do not know how long we're going to survive, but yeah. All I know is that we're just lucky. Not we don't survive with the luck. We just survive with the fittest. So, but yeah. But if there's anything, like I said, if there's anything else that I would like to add to this video, I will make sure I do that if I miss anything. But for right now, I don't think I'm missing anything. So, yeah. My favorite foods are pizza, spaghetti. Well, my actual favorite food is tartare casserole, lasagna, goulash. You know, other meals that I like. The meals that I do not like is chicken dumplings and all that. The chicken dumpling soup is the one I do not like. It's just, you know, the way it looks. It's not the way it tastes. It's just the way it looks. I just don't like it. But thankfully, I don't think we don't have to make chicken dumplings anymore, because you know my mama used to make them, and I said hell no. But I go to the restaurant. Just last night, I went out to Wendy's to get takeout and stuff like that. I go to Wendy's, Burger King, McDonald's. Most likely, when I was a kid, I used to go to McDonald's, and my mama used to drop me off. Well, I asked my mama we go to McDonald's before I go to school. We used to go up there. Well, actually, this was during my summer vacation, and I was like, you know. I asked my mama if we go to McDonald's because we got a little money. So, usually on Thursdays or Fridays, I think, usually during Thursdays, like on breakfast, we go there. And then during dinner time, we go to McDonald's, stuff like that, as a treat. And then come home and eat. And just like that. But the main restaurant, the one restaurant that I got food poisoning was from that restaurant in Shelby, which is the Chicken Ranch. Now you think Chicken Ranch, you think it's, you know, basically a chicken breast put ranch dressing. No, it's a Chicken Ranch. You know, there's this guy that used to work there, and they make their own ranch. When they use the bathroom and never wash their hands, that's when the bacteria and viruses go on. Sneezing their hands and stuff like that. The germs mix all over their ranch sauce. And I didn't notice because I was dipping into it, and it's just so good. It wasn't the chicken, it was just the ranch dipping. And I never ever going to that place ever again. Once I heard it, I started throwing up in their restroom, and my family got sick. We were basically poisoned by the restaurant, and we never went there again. For now, we go Chinese and stuff like that. Chinese food. I think Chinese food is a lot healthier than fast food restaurants, because you know they got Plain Fest, they got like all that teriyaki steak, chicken, shrimp, scallops, and stuff like that. It's very good. Listen. So, but yeah. If you guys enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe. It's totally free. I'm gonna stop the time. Stopwatch right there. It took me 44 minutes and 9 seconds to tell you guys about, my true story. So I started stopwatch, as you can see. I just like doing tell, but I wish I could add more details to my personal life, but I don't want to make my personal life complicated. So the best way I can say is that everything is, the simplest way I can say is that it's been the greatest 20 years of my life. That's what I'm going to say. So, yeah. But fortunately, I've run out of time. It's been almost an hour of talking. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna end the video here. I was gonna say I'm gonna end the stream. I'm just kidding. But yeah. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe. It's totally free. This has been the first time in my career that I actually tell a true story of 20 years of my life. So yeah, make sure you watch this video and subscribe. I will post this probably in July 7th or 8th. Probably on the 7th. So I don't, get you guys complicated. But yeah, my name is Grand Danger. Stay absolutely awesome. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day. And yeah, see you guys next time. Don't forget to join Grand Danger Nation crew by subscribing for free. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. So what you guys wait for, get subscribed down below. It's totally free. And you never know, guys. Your ideas make into another video or a content video, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you guys, tuning in to this video. This has been, like I said, it's the most emotional, intense video that everybody's been wondering how it made up and stuff. Even though if I want to make this up, I do not make this up at all. Believe me, if you're in my footsteps, you will know exactly what happens during the last 20 years. But yeah, my name is Grand Danger. Stabzilla is also. Peace out. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day. See you guys in the next 10 years. Here we go to row 30.